Okay, everybody, welcome back to another Hawkast podcast. And guys, we've got a huge special guest today. We have a former Seahawk, three-time Pro Bowler, 2007 first-team All-Pro, Seahawks Legends, NFC champion, Lofa Tatupu. Thank you very much, Lofa, for coming on today.
My man, I appreciate you having me.
Okay, Lofa, I'm going to go ahead and jump right in because I don't want to take too much of your time. So let's just go right into your college career. You go to USC, University of Southern California. You have a lot of success there. Now, obviously, you couldn't stay at USC forever. You're coached by Coach Carroll. You eventually move on to the NFL, and then Coach Mike was your starting coach or your first head coach in the NFL. But obviously, Coach Mike wasn't there forever. He leaves. Carroll comes in. What was the biggest reaction in terms of when you figured out that Coach Carroll was going to be your head coach again?
I knew Seattle was going to get back to the winning ways. We had a couple rough seasons. Mike had left. My man Jim Mora came in, and he only got one season to try to turn it around. And, we were still dealing with a rash of injuries. But, Pete and his competitive nature, as you've seen over the last decade, I knew wins were in store. And so even though we went 7-9, but I thought him and John did a phenomenal job in that draft and really set up the future, of that last decade in that 10 class, man.
100%. I think that was obviously one of the most pivotal parts in Seahawks history. Obviously, Seattle's history isn't too long, but that shift into the Carroll era was definitely a big change. And I think it was definitely, even though we went 7-9, it was just like a reset button almost. I thought it was one of the most important years in Seattle history.
Absolutely, yeah. That, like I said, that draft, just that first class that they brought in, you get 2 first-rounders in Russell Okung and Earl Thomas, and second rounder Golden Tate. You go down the list, Cam Chancellor was in that draft, and then even a guy that was in my own room, Dexter Davis, the Pac-12 Player of the Year at the time. He hurt his hip, but he was on the verge of being a breakout player, and right up there with those guys that I named. Had it not been for the injury, but you think about those names I just rattled off. 4 Pro Bowlers in there, potential Hall of Famer in Earl, right? As long as he stays healthy for a year or two. I mean, yeah, he's got the numbers. He's already there. And then you get one of the other best safeties of the last decade, Cam Chancellor.
So then you go ahead and we did well in the draft. Pete Carroll was obviously, you just, reinstate everything. You went way in depth. So, congrats to you right there. What was the biggest difference in between Coach Mike and Coach Pete's coaching style? What do you think was the biggest difference?
Well, everybody had, every winning program or organization, they have similarities in terms of how they go about handling their business, and they did have some similarities there, but difference was the approach. Mike, I guess the stories you hear from other guys that he's a tough coach to play for. He's hard, on his players, and he's just the standard's extremely high for Mike, and that's what I think a lot of people fail to understand is when he tells you 5 yards and out on a route, there's no leeway. There's no give there. It's, hey, you run 5 yards and then you break out. And so you appreciate that kind of discipline, because discipline is what wins championships. You ask anybody, whether it's Pete or Mike, in their championship, when they won the Lombardi Trophy, their team, they had talent, of course, but discipline, to do the right things and make the right decisions. With Mike, discipline was huge in terms of not getting penalties, which is why, Super Bowl 40 was so ironic, right? Yeah. But and then with Pete, I think, Pete, his style is it translates very well to a lot of guys in that it boosts confidence, is what I've noticed by a lot of my teammates when I was at SC, when I came into SC, and then when I left SC, and then he came to Seattle. I saw guys gradually and continually get better because they gain more confidence. And confidence is anything in any sport you play, anything in life. You got to attack it with confidence. And so I think that was the things that stood out between that separated them was the discipline that Mike always instilled, and then the confidence that Pete always, in his, competitive nature that he always preached.
So there was definitely a difference, though, in terms of the style, how Coach Mike definitely ran it a little bit tougher, you said, even though he was a little bit more strict, it did kind of, help
Oh,
you.
it translated. Yeah. It translated to being disciplined in your craft. And, I had some good years, under Mike, and, in that style. It's not to say that, I played for Pete. We won 25-1 in the 2 years that, we were together at SC. So I could play for both men. That was more of the injuries coming into play. Why I didn't perform as well as I would have liked to down the stretch of my career.
Okay, so Lofa, obviously you've been on Seattle. You were on the Seattle team for a good chunk of your, not chunk of your career, excuse me, a good chunk of that kind of brief moment in between. What was it, 2005 to 2010? Was those the years?
Yeah. So was it 6 years? Yeah. See, you got me confused now. It was 6 years. That I was here in Seattle from 2005 to 2010.
A lot happened in those 6 years. So if you could just go back a little bit and you could sit down and be like, you know what? Whether it was the Super Bowl, obviously we didn't get the result we wanted, whether it was the Super Bowl or it was the Beastquake up against the Saints, what do you think was your favorite memory, as a Seattle Seahawk?
My favorite memory, other than getting drafted, because that's a special moment in anybody's career. It's something you always dream of. My favorite memory was, winning the NFC Championship game, and then even just, moving on to the Super Bowl, to playing the game everybody, dreams of playing in as a kid. So it was that whole season was magical, man. The journey and the build up, up to it. Even I think every playoff game, everyone picked against us, even though we had home field advantage, and it's just. Real telling of, what we were up against. But that was a special moment. And, just the 12s really came to life in that season. They won the New York Giant game by themselves in overtime, basically. So shout out to the 12s. But so many great memories. But if I had to just choose one, it would have to be winning the NFC Championship.
And winning the NFC Championship, but if you draft is probably, you said number one though. If you had,
it's up there for every player. Just that moment. But yeah, NFC Championship. Come on, man, you get a ring for that. It's it's exciting, and it was the kind of what it put Seattle on the map. In the 12s, and then obviously after that, before that, my favorite moment is watching Seattle win it, and. In the Super Bowl against the Broncos in 13. That was just incredible. That's what, you always, when you play for a city, whether you bring them a championship or somebody else does, you just hope they get one because they deserve it. This is one of the greatest cities, there is, and, not just in the term of sport, in the sports world, but just it's incredible. And, I love it here.
Of course, yeah, I know. Seattle loves you too, Lofa. You should. Everyone's freaking out to get, a question in or, anything with you at this point because, obviously you're a Seattle legend. You've done a lot for the team, and you were there in some of the biggest moments, whether it was the Super Bowl, like I said, or there were just a lot of years where, you were making plays. You led the team in tackles for 3 straight years. You made 3 straight Pro Bowls. You were just tearing it up, when you were wearing that blue jersey. So, Seattle definitely has a lot of love for you. So thank you for that.
Appreciate you, brother.
And moving on, Lofa, I want to go ahead and talk about Seattle's current linebacker situation. Now, I do have a Bobby Wagner jersey on, so you can tell, he swag's my guy. But Seattle did turn around, go to the draft, and draft a guy named Jordan Brooks. Now, a lot of players were a little shocked. Not players. A lot of fans were a little shocked. I don't know about the players, but maybe the players. We weren't really sure at first why would we draft a linebacker? We had Bobby Wagner. Obviously, KJ's getting a little bit older, but besides that, in general, it wasn't like our biggest need. Everyone was thinking pass rush or whatever it might be, offensive tackle, offensive line, whatever. So when you heard the name Jordan Brooks, what were you thinking? Were you like, okay, Bobby Wagner's about to get replaced? Or maybe KJ's about to get replaced, or is this the new generation? Is Pete Carroll just because Pete Carroll has done this in the past before, where he's drafted positions like Frank Clark, for example, behind Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill when they were still there. You know, with our first pick, it was in the second round. We drafted Frank Clark, and there was a lot of questions just because, you know, we had Bennett at the time, we had Averill, but is this a kind of similar situation where you think it completely different? Like maybe this is the end of the Bobby Wagner era?
No, I absolutely not. I see it the way I see it is when we approach drafts, I say when the Hawks approach drafts, we've had the luxury of not having to draft for need. And so while it might confuse some people, you know, I got to believe that the DNs that we wanted, that we did acquire in the second and the fifth, you know, we knew that they were going to be there to be taken at that pick. And so when you do that, you go for best available. And Brooks must have had, you know, I haven't seen a ton of tape, but I've seen some of the stats and I've seen a couple highlights. You know, he's very downhill aggressive. So I like his mentality at linebacker. And it almost, to me, if I'm just a fan watching it, he has a game that eerily resembles Kendrick's. And we did lose Kendrick's. And so where it's interesting that people say, oh, was this, you know, Wag's replacement or, you know, or KJ. I see him as a very similar skill set to Kendrick's. And, you know, we don't have Kendrick's back. Cody Barton had a phenomenal, you know, rookie campaign along with Burkherb, and I'm really excited about their future. And, you know, let's be honest, you know, Brooks, first round, you still have to earn your spot on the roster when you know, we put the pads on and everything. I mean, think back to 2012 when they drafted a third-round quarterback, and he supplanted a guy they paid several millions to. The best player is going to play, and that's why John and Pete continually, you know, win, is because it's when they find someone that just they fit into the culture, and that's what I got to think with Brooks is there's something about him, very competitive, I'm sure, and they like his how he fits into the culture. But so we'll see what happens. You still got to win that spot now.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's obviously not going to be given the job immediately, but I do think this was something that I've had with a lot of other Seahawks fans and Seahawks analysts. We were thinking, like, maybe is this a combination where, you know, obviously Barton played well last year. Is this Pete saying in the future, if I'm looking 3 years down the line, our starting two linebackers are going to be Cody Barton and Jordan Brooks, and maybe guys like Wagner and KJ won't be on the team. You know, obviously Kendrick's already gone, but guys like that won't be on the team in the future, and they're thinking 3 years ahead or 2 years ahead, whatever that might be.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I can't speak to that. I don't see that as the case here. I just see that they you know, they drafted him based on, best available still, you know, on the board and their pick. And because, you know, I got to be honest, I assumed we were going to trade out like we always do and pick up a second and a third, or, you know, how we wheeled and dealed in the past and be, you know, come accustomed to, which is also, I think, has set us up, you know, very well, you know, salary cap wise, you're not having to take on that 5th year option. So, you know, I trust, you know, completely in John, you know, the way he handles the draft. So we'll see how it plays out. And I'm excited about it. That's a very talented group, and competition brings out the best in everybody. So it's going to be exciting to see what does, you know, pan out.
Of course. Yep. I agree. So one of the last 2 questions I'm going to ask you before I let you go, Lofa, is if you're going to go ahead and look at all the linebackers in the league currently right now, without being biased, who do you think is the best linebacker in general, just overall in the NFL?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, can't bring bias. I mean, Bobby is that dude. It's been him and Luke for the last, you know, 8 years. You know, and KJ, I don't think he ever gets enough credit for what he's been doing. So, you know, I just love their games. You know, was able to be around them and coach them. Phenomenal guys too. But yeah, B-Wags is at the top of that list. I like CJ Mosley. You know, I think he's he was a little banged up last year, but I like guys with very, you know, well-rounded games. You know, maybe they don't, you know, wow you in any particular part of the, part of the game, but you know, CJ Mosley, he plays the run, he plays the pass. He can blitz the quarterback, you know, similar to Wags. They do it all. And those are the guys that I really, you know, with no weakness, it's incredible to stay on the field for three downs these days with how much they spread it out and how much you got to run. It's incredible to see what these guys are doing. But yeah, BB Wags top of the list for me.
Yeah, you're staying loyal. I see you staying loyal to the Blue.
You got the right jersey on, my man.
And final question, Lofa. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. And obviously you have something to plug at the end. So we're going to keep this question short right now. What do you think the Seahawks record will be? Obviously the schedule comes out tomorrow, so we can't like look into anything deep right now. But if you just had to look, like just a rough sketch in your mind, just how the team is built right now, without Clowney, without everything, what do you think we go this year?
Oh, I got double-digit wins. I got us 10. I get 11-5. I'll go 11-5. I think we win the division, and I don't think, you know, San Fran stays at the top. You know, and I'll say that just because it's when you lose a Super Bowl playing that deep into a season. I talked about this on an interview the other day. You know, you have that target on your back. If you played in the Super Bowl, whether you won or lost, you have that target on your back, and everyone's giving you your best shot. You know, you played deep into the season, so you had a month less, you know, to recover from any injuries or surgeries that you may have had. It's tough to you know, come back after that. And then I think Arizona's put some pieces together, you know, with getting D-Hop and you know, they got Drake back, right? The running back, who I thought was a phenomenal ad last year, late season. Murray, that jump from year one to year two for a quarterback, he's going to be scary to watch this year. So I got them being, you know, up there, very competitive. I mean, we saw what they did. They came in one of the last games of the season. They beat us. Yeah, they beat us up here. So, I mean, yeah, I didn't realize how quick he was, man.
Yeah, that man is quick. It was getting on my nerves all game.
Right? Yeah. So, and he can make all the throws. It's really incredible. It's gonna be
a problem. That's what that's
gonna
be.
It's good. I was gonna say fun to watch, but it's not gonna be fun. It's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, it's gonna be a huge problem for Seahawks fans for a long time to come. This is gonna be a problem.
Oh, good. We'll draft some more guys to take care of that problem.
Maybe that's Jordan Brooks. Maybe that's the guy that's gonna
be right.
Check.
There you go. Could be.
Exactly. So, Lofa, I want to thank you for coming on the Hawkast today. I really do appreciate you. Didn't have to do that for the 12s here and for myself. You have something to plug. Go ahead and do your thing, man. You deserve it. Please tell the 12s what you got going on.
Oh, yeah. I just want to just say thank you for having me on, and tell the 12s, you know, I've got my own CBD line, Zone and CBD, me and several other athletes. I started my journey with it several years ago, about 3.5, 4 years ago. And I never knew, you know, take the all-pro years and think higher than that and how much better. That's how good I feel, is that I feel and I look probably better, body, mind, everything, than when I was playing in the 2007 Pro Bowl, man. So it's wild to think that, you know, something like this can, you know, make you feel that much better. And largely it's quality product done the right way. All hemp comes from the U.S. and it's in an FDA approved facility, CGMP certified, and COA, certificate analysis, on every step of the process. So what's on our label is in there. So it's just really brought me not just back to who I used to be, but, you know, when they use that word potential, oh, you got a lot of potential. I feel better than I ever have. And after 10 surgeries and 15 plus concussions, I never thought I'd be saying that.
That's crazy. That's crazy, man. I'm definitely – go ahead and text me to that, Lofa, like the links or anything you got.
Yeah.
I'm going to put in the description and also into the comment when I post on the Instagram, man. But
I appreciate it. Well,
yeah,
we're in Bartell's. So you can find more about it at zoneincbd.com. And we're also, if you're in the Washington, in the Seattle area, we're in all 67 Bartell locations too. Bartell.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, perfect, Lofa. Thank you very much for coming on, Lofa. Please stay safe and, you know, take this time, spend it with your family, do what you got to do, man, because, you know, you definitely deserve it. And thank you very much for joining today.
All right, my man. You stay blessed.
Thank you. You too, man.